G'day everyone, welcome back to another video on the channel. So in today's video, we're going to be going over my top 50 AFL players of 2022. Now of course, there is no perfect top 50 list, everyone has a different opinion. So please take into consideration this is from my view, and I've tried to make it as reasonable as possible with the least amount of bias. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe if you're going to enjoy today's video, and let's get into the top 50 list. Boy oh boy, there's going to be plenty of debate. 50th, Taylor Walker. We kick off the top 50 list today with the Adelaide Crows key forward of Taylor Walker. In my opinion, had a criminally underrated year. Booted home 47 goals for the year whilst being top 3 in score involvements for key forwards in the competition. 49th, 𝐓𝐡𝐿𝐼𝐻𝐼𝐻𝐿𝐼. The young Roo produced a really nice season, blossoming in the second half of the year, heavily improving his contested and clearance game. 48th, Jack Steele. There certainly was some high expectations for Jack Steele heading into 2022. Even though he ruptured his AC joint throughout the season, he still had a nice year for the Saints, producing some high consistency performances throughout the season. 47th, Jack Macrae. Obviously didn't have as strong of a year as last year for the Bulldogs, but still was productive, racking up disposals game in, game out. 46th, Zach Merrett. One of the few Bombers players that could hold up his head high. Merrett was sublime for the Dons this year. A ball winner and was able to make a high influence on the scoreboard. 45th, Jordan Dawson. One of the recruits of the season, Dawson produced a consistent year for the Crows, being one of the highest rated general defenders in the comp. 44th, Bailey Fritsch. The only player in the competition to kick a goal every game does deserve a spot in the top 50. Not only that, his smart forward craft and sharp shooting ability was on show this year, bringing home 55 goals for this season, the most out of any general forward. 43rd, Sam De Koning. One of the biggest breakout seasons out of any youngster in the competition, De Koning made his strong presence this year, with being able to compete and convincingly beat some of the best key forwards he matched up on. 42nd, Josh Daicos. The elite running magpie enjoyed his career best year. Rated as the number 1 wingman in the comp, Josh was a key part in Collingwood's running carry. He was able to supply support and run, whilst being able to show his class and skill at the same time. 41st, Tom Liberatore. Regarded as a very underrated midfielder, that remark would certainly be true based off this season. The 30-year-old was a huge factor in the Bulldogs this year, being a key part in the coalface, supplying the clearances and distributing the ball to his star midfielders without a fuss. 40th, Scott Pendlebury. Statistically, Pendlebury might not meet the numbers to be in the top 50, but his experience, class and composure was a massive factor in Collingwood's success this season. He was able to set the tone and structure every game for the Pies, with his ball use and decision making being second to none. 39th, Nick Daicos. Possibly one of the best first year players in the AFL ever. The young Nick Daicos had a sensational rookie year for Collingwood, making his mark as an attacking elite ball use halfback flanker, with the capability to move into the midfield and make an impact on the scoreboard. 38th, Tom Barrass. The West Coast Best and Fairest winner certainly was an elite intercepting defender this season. The absence of Jeremy McGovern in the second half of the season seemed to allow Barrass to become more isolated and spread his wings, finishing second overall in the most intercept marks in the competition. 37th, Darcy Moore. Even though he might have been up there for the reverse Coleman, Moore was still one of the most valuable key defenders this year. His ability to display high athleticism in the marking contest, while supplying the deadly run and carry, was a key reason in the Pies' elite defence and defensive 50 transition this year. 36th, Adam Saad. The All-Australian halfback flanker put his pace and zipping ball use to good use this year. He was able to become a lot more accountable in defence this year for the Blues, with displaying high percentage kick efficiency on the attack. 35th, Rory Laird. A highly respected individual this year, Laird was ultra consistent for Adelaide, being able to, game in game out, show no nonsense see ball get ball mentality, putting up elite numbers in clearances, tackles and disposals. 34th, Luke Parker. Still is and will always be an unsung hero in the competition. The tough as nails midfielder produced a solid season, being a key part in Sydney's young midfield, with being able to show presence forward. 33rd, Sam Taylor. A highly valuable key defender and a very entertaining player to watch, Taylor was elite as a one-on-one old-fashioned backman. A player who loves the competitiveness of taking the number 1 key forward every week for the Giants, Sam notched up one of the lowest key defence losses percentages out of any player and was brutal in the intercept and 1%ers game. 32nd, Charlie Cameron. The star line was on song in 2022, slotting home over 50 goals this year for Brisbane, scattered with multiple winning games off your own best on ground performances. 31st, Brandon Maynard. The massively underrated lockdown defender finally had his well-deserved national recognition with an All-Australian blazer. Known as one of the most coachable players in the competition, Maynard was able to display high aggression, physicality and accountability on anyone who he matched up on. 30th, Angus Brayshaw. A player who was very stiff to miss out on the All-Australian side, Brayshaw had a career best year with being able to make an impact in dual positions. His intercepting ability and reading the play at half-back, and his hard-as-nails approach in the guts. 29th, Sam Docherty. What a comeback season and story. After overcoming a second battle with testicular cancer, Docherty came right into the Carlton lineup and manufactured a fantastic year for the Blues, being one of the competition's elite halfback flankers, with also being able to rack up the footy in the midfield. 28th, Dion Prestia. The human meatball was looking to have an injury-free season in 2022, after managing only 18 games in the previous 2 years. It may have been inevitable to pick up an injury and miss a game here or there this season, as Prestia would go on to play 19 games in 2022, and would display himself as a crucial member in the Yellow and Blacks midfield, racking up contested possessions and clearances. 27th, Jack Crisp. The ultra-reliable was again on top of his game in 2022, pushing more into the midfield and putting his elite skills and running capacity to good use. A player who turned it up when it mattered, especially when it came to finals, finishing second overall in the Gary Ayres medal. 26th, Sam Walsh. Might have not been as impactful as last year, but still had an excellent year for Carlton, being able to show his elite run and carry between both ways of the ground and rack up the pill in high numbers. 25th, Marcus Bontempelli. Certainly was struggling a bit in the first half of the year, but eventually got going round by round. His second half of the year was one of the main reasons for the Bulldogs making the 8, with his high influence per touch and score involvement ability on show. 24th, Josh Dunkley. The Bulldogs' best and fairest winner enjoyed a career best season, elevating his game and establishing himself as a threat on the ball and down forward. 23rd, Isaac Heaney. The first ever Swans Academy graduate to make the All-Australian alongside Callum Mills, Heaney was sublime in the red and the white this year after inking a 6-year deal back in February. An impact in the midfield and forward, Isaac ranked elite in a lot of areas such as score involvements, whilst having the ability to push up and down the ground. 22nd, Max Gawn. Gawn's season was nothing as amazing as his 2021 season, but he still was the best ruckman in the competition by some margin. He continued to show that he is one of the best tap-out ruckmans in the comp, with also making a heavy presence down forward in the marking contest. 21st, Chad Warner. One of the most exciting young talents of 2022, Warner has already established himself as one of the most damaging midfielders in the competition. His ability to take the game on with every touch, accumulates high metres gains and score involvements, and his tough approach at the pill was on show nearly every week for the 21-year-old. 20th, Jack Sinclair. A heavily improved player in 2022, Sinclair was one of the best general defenders this year for St Kilda. A smart reader of the ball in the play, his high accumulation of the footy allowed him to pose a threat on the attack, supplying the Saints' dash across half-back. 19th, Tyson Stengel. Another feel-good AFL story this year. From being delisted by 2 AFL clubs, he was given a third lifeline from Geelong after winning the Sandfield Premiership. Working under Eddie Betts seemed to be the charm, as Tyson would be the first ever delisted player to make the All-Australian side, becoming the best small forward in 2022, booting home 53 goals and starring in the grand final. 18th, Mark Blicavs. A very high rating for a role/utility player, but it is truly justified, as Blicavs will go on to be a massive part in the Cats Premiership campaign. His ability to play and excel in multiple positions, such as a swingman, pinch hit in the ruck, or even tag the opposition's best midfielder, gave Chris Scott some extra strings added to his bow. 17th, Connor Rozee. The silky and classy mid-forward would turn his game to the next level as soon as he went into the midfield halfway through the season. His high footy IQ, eye for goals, and impact in dual positions week in week out boosted his stock as he would catapult up the coaches' votes leaderboards, ending up finishing an outstanding 5th overall. 16th, 𝐓𝐿 𝐿𝐼𝐻. The Star Lions midfielder spent the majority of the season on the ball instead of the wing, as he would excel in 2022, oozing ball quality use around the ground and tough two-way running in the process. 15th, Tom Stewart. Even though he might have missed out on a handful of games, Stewart was a menace in Chris Scott's defence in pretty much every game he played, showing to the AFL again that he is one of the best intercepting defenders in the competition, an outstanding ability to read the play whilst being able to rack up the footy whenever it came near him. 14th, James Sicily. Still cannot understand on how he did not make the All-Australian side. Sicily was ranked the best key defender via champion data. A brilliant comeback year after an ACL injury, the 26-year-old would play more of the key defender role after being an outstanding intercept defender in his previous years. He was able to put his intercepting skills to good use in 2022, with also being able to shut down the opposition's key forward or dangerous third tall convincingly well. 13th, Shea Bolton. Love him or hate him, Shea was one of the most exciting, energetic and entertaining players to watch this year. His clean and classy skills whenever he had the ball in his hands or in his vicinity made him the typical bums on seats type of player. A very hard player to tackle, he was dodging, weaving and making an impact on the scoreboard with pretty much every touch he had, averaging the highest score involvements out of any general forward in the competition. 12th, 𝐼𝐻𝐿𝐴 𝐿 The Coleman medalist would go on to possibly be one of the most improved players in 2022, sliding home 64 goals and becoming one of the hardest key forwards to match up on after multiple long-term injuries. A highly athletic forward in the marking contest with a booming and deadly shot for goal. 11th, Tom Lynch. One of the most influential players in the competition, Lynch's season had such a fine line on what he could have further achieved had he not been injured for multiple games. Nevertheless, the best and fairest winner for the Tigers kicked goals for fun in 2022, slotting through 60 majors in just 18 home and away season games. Possibly the best contested marking key forward in the system, Lynch would also average the highest goal a game stat out of anyone, with 3.3 goals a match. 10th, Stephen May. Quite simply the best key defender in the competition. Elite in the one-on-one game with a very low contested defence loss percentage, excellent in the marking contest, and also a damaging left foot kick on the attack. Another All-Australian blazer added to his collection, a deserving placement in my top 10. 9th, Tom Hawkins. The 34-year-old put on show another fantastic season added to his illustrious career. A strong lead and a smart forward craft player, Hawkins played an important role in this year's flag, kicking over 50 goals whilst ranking top 5 in score involvements and goal assists. 8th, Callum Mills. Mills spent his first year as Sydney's co-captain as a very productive one, picking up his first All-Australian Blazer and Best and Fairest award. Mills will go on to gain critical recognition as an elite two-way running midfielder this season, shutting down the opposition's best midfielder whilst displaying elite ball use and decision making with ball in hand. 7th, Christian Petrarca. Petrarca would continue the prime of his career, capping off another fantastic year as a deadly damaging midfielder. Spending more time forward, he gave the Demons an extra focal point in attack, ranking 2nd overall in score involvements and the 4th best midfielder via champion data this season. 6th, 𝐼𝐻𝐿𝐴 Miller. Another brilliant year for the multiple best and fairest winner for Gold Coast, the Stars' son again displayed why he is one of the competition's elite midfielders. A brutal two-way runner, a tough player to play on, and a diligent character on and off the field, 𝐼𝐻𝐿𝐴's season was capped off with the Coaches Association Player of the Year award and just narrowly missing out on the Brownlow medal. 5th, Andrew Brayshaw. A player who has catapulted into the competition's elite in 2022. Brayshaw displayed a fine season for Fremantle, with the 22-year-old making the All-Australian squad and becoming one of the youngest players to win the League Matthews Trophy. His two-way running ability is arguably the best in the competition, with being able to dispose of the footy at a high rate and pose himself as a perfect all-round midfielder. 4th, Patrick Cripps. The Brownlow medalist manufactured an outstanding season for Carlton, being able to take his game to the next level after an average 2021 campaign. A bull in the midfield, Cripps was able to heavily influence Carlton's midfield this year, constantly in the coalface racking up the clearances or taking the game on. He was also tied first for the most best on ground performances in the competition. 3rd, Jeremy Cameron. With picking the top 3 players this year, it's almost a must to include this man, Jeremy Cameron. After an injury-studded 2021, he was able to get his body right and be a huge influence in Geelong's side. Being able to play mostly anywhere in the forward line with his ability to push up the ground, Cameron excelled in anything that came his way, whether it would be winning games off his own boot or racking up the footy with many 2-goal, 20-plus disposal performances this year. Being also able to structure Geelong's forward line in the process, and without him in the side, it would be hard to see Geelong achieve what they did this season. 2nd, Lachie Neale. It's hard to go past what Lachie Neale was able to do this year. Arguably having a better year than his 2020 Brownlow season, Neale's all-around ability in the Lions midfield was a crucial part in Brisbane's successes this season. Known by his peers to be one of the toughest midfielders to match up on, his high footy IQ, gut running and impact on every stoppage was second to none. Unlucky not to take Charlie home by just missing out by a single vote, he was a player that was almost a must to be tagged if the opposition wanted to beat the Lions. 1st, Clayton Oliver. We top off my top 50 list with the best player in the AFL in my view, being Clayton Oliver. Clayton is the most complete midfielder and player in the competition. The best inside midfielder there is. His knowledge, composure, aggression, clean skills would be on display everywhere around the ground, especially in heavy traffic. Oliver was elite this year on being able to see ball get ball, dish it out cleanly to his peers, rack up clearances and even make the occasional impact on the scoreboard. A very coachable player, the elite service he gives to his teammates, a deserving CA Player of the Year award winner, Clayton Oliver is in my eyes the best AFL player of 2022. So, ladies and gentlemen, there is my top 50 AFL players of 2022. As you can see on your screens right now, that's just a quick run through of my top 50 list. So, of course, a lot of major debates with these types of videos, so feel free to let me know what you think. Would you change a few players around? Of course, it's always opinionated, so please take that into consideration. So everyone, that is the end of today's video. Thank you very much for tuning in to today's video. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe if you wanted to enjoy. And until next time, I'll talk to you later, fellas. See you later.